I'm your host, Tracy Dixon, transmitting to you from the All Fiction Podcast Studios. Thanks for tuning in to the Steeger Classic Pulp Podcast, presented by Steeger Books, the purveyors of quality facsimiles and reprints of classic pulp magazines and story anthologies. Need more pulp? Visit SteegerBooks.com. You'll find a nifty promo code in this episode's description. Remember to follow our shows so you don't miss a single episode. Following us and leaving us a comment helps your podcast provider find us and suggest our shows to other listeners. And please be sure to click that share button. We'd appreciate it. Previously on They Creep by Night. While investigating Blackwater Swamp, Paul Lawton and Frank Mowry were attacked by a hideous green-skinned creature and escaped with a photograph proving the monster was Amos Cartwright, a missing townsman. Soon afterward, Lawton himself fell victim to the mysterious green plague spreading through Rillwood. As townspeople connected to the imprisonment of Dr. Raoul Graham began disappearing, a blood-written warning arrived from beyond the grave, and before anyone could react, a man was struck down by a deadly arrow from the darkness. How will our cast of characters react to this shocking turn of events? Let's find out. Chapter 4. Death Strikes Again. It was Paul Lawton, gaping in horror at the broken window, who first rushed forward. His outthrust hand slapped the window frame, thrust it up violently. Oblivious to danger, he stood rigid, peering out into darkness. There was no moon, and on this side of the house, the dim light of street lamps was blotted out by the house itself. Nothing but inky blackness, empty of sound or movement, met Lawton's wild gaze. Yet somewhere out there in that terrain of bloom lurked a green-faced killer.
I'm going out there.
The declaration came in a hoarse snarl, and Lawton pushed himself over the sill, thudded to the ground beneath. Then he realized his peril and shuddered. He was unarmed. If the killer was seeking a second victim? Savagely, he plowed into darkness, alert for any sign of the thing he sought. What did he seek? All he had seen, all any of them had seen, was a cadaverous, green-glowing face. No human being could possess a face like that, only some vile creature from outer darkness. Behind Lawton, a door jarred open, and other men came timidly into the night to join him in the search. Separating, they moved to different parts of the grounds, and he could hear them thumping about, beating at scattered clumps of bushes, calling fearfully back and forth to one another. But the search was doomed to failure. In the end, the searchers returned to the house, to the room where that dead, contorted body lay face down on the carpet, with an Indian arrow embedded in its back. Lawton peered into chalk-white faces and waited for Dr. Graham, self-appointed leader of the vigilantes, to speak. Fear was an unseen specter in the room. Terror had crept into men's souls and taken possession, and in that group of frightened men, the slender feminine form of Lois Graham seemed strangely out of place.
Gentlemen.
Jonathan Graham folded his big arms, put his feet wide apart on the carpet.
I suggest that you return to your homes until daylight. In darkness, we can do nothing except expose ourselves to further danger.
He turned, and Lawton saw that the man's face was stiff, pale with deep-rooted fear.
I want to confer with my daughter and my lawyer.
He glanced at his nephew.
And with you, Vincent.
Muttering men filed out of the room. Graham paced to the door, stopped, and glanced with surprise at Lawton, who had not moved. He shrugged, then frowned.
I forgot that you and Lois are planning to marry. Come with us, Lawton.
In a small book-lined study at the end of the hall, he confronted the few persons who had remained, and they in turn waited expectantly for him to speak. Ralph Kinney, more stunted and timid than ever since the death of his wife, sat like a ventriloquist's dummy, staring mutely at the floor. Lois regarded her father anxiously. Vincent, son of Raoul, refused a proffered chair and stood straight and tall against a bookcase, his hands forked in front of him. Paul Lawton sat in a red-leather armchair and, despite a sluggish return of the agony within him, forced himself to remain silent.
I feel that I am about to die.
The statement came stiffly from Graham's pale lips.
Don't mistake me. I'm not being melodramatic. Every shred of evidence points to the fact that my brother, or some horrible reincarnation of what was my brother, is behind this campaign of supernatural evil. I, more than anyone else, was responsible for sending my brother to prison. My name is sure to be high up on his blood list.
He shrugged, reached down mechanically, and took an iron poker from the brick fireplace beside him. It was something to cling to give him courage. His knuckles were white and bony from the pressure of his hands.
Kinney, ever since you came to Rillwood 3 years ago, you've been my lawyer and one of my best friends. Now I intend to change the terms of my will. My wife is lying ill upstairs, afflicted with the green horror. I have saved her from immediate death with the same preparation that I gave Lawton a short while ago. But the relief is only temporary, and death may overtake me before I am able to find a permanent cure. I appoint you, Kinney, the guardian of my daughter in the event that my wife and I both die. You are to have full control of my finances until such time as Lois may marry. Then you will turn everything over to her. Do you understand?
Kinney hunched forward in his chair.
Good Lord, Graham, you're getting in too deep.
I intend to be prepared for the worst. That's all.
Very well.
Kinney relaxed with a sigh.
If you wish it.
I have the necessary papers here.
Graham paced to a desk, drew a portfolio from the top drawer.
We'll need signatures.
Paul Lawton, watching with wide eyes as first Kinney, then Lois, went to the desk and bent above the papers, sensed something of the grim fatalism of it all. This was no melodramatic gesture on Graham's part. When the signing was finished, the doctor calmly stuffed the portfolio back in the desk and locked the drawer. Turning, he essayed a wry smile.
I must go to my wife's bedside. Lois, you had better get to bed.
He drew a small brown bottle from his pocket, paced forward, and dropped it in Lawton's lap.
And you'd better return home, young man. If the agony returns, use this and call me at once.
As though marching in a parade, he walked to the door, opened it, and left the room. The others gawked after him. Ralph Kinney said, frowning,
Well, I'll be damned.
Forgetting the plague that had made a green mask of his face, Lawton bent above the girl he loved and would have kissed her good night. Then he shuddered, pushed himself away. She had tried hard to keep from cringing, but he had seen the involuntary tightening of her throat, the look of sudden terror that had come into her wide eyes. He forced a low good night from his discolored lips and walked wearily from the room. Despair was a black slug feeding on his heart all the way home. When he reached there, he went straight to his bedroom and, without removing his clothes, flung himself on the bed and lay sobbing, his stiff fingers hooked in the mattress, his face buried in the pillow. A deep, soul-wrenching fear that he would never again be able to claim the girl he loved, was beginning to fester within him, bringing a mental torment far more vicious than the physical agony of the plague. For hours, he lay face down, sobbing convulsively. When sleep did come, it was festooned with garish nightmares that made him toss and moan in abject torment. He awoke in agony and did not at first realize that the room was gray with dusk. He had slept many hours. His fully clothed body was wrapped in a wild tangle of bed sheets and blankets and was drenched with sweat. Flames of torment blazed inside his skull. Clutching the bedpost, he sat up, forced his racked body against the wall in a frantic effort to press the pain from it. The air in his lungs was thick, heavy, and his body was a blast furnace. Inside his head, some devouring parasite was feeding on his brain, becoming an enormous thing that threatened to burst its confinement. He flung himself off the bed, stood retching. Moments of unbearable agony passed before he remembered the brown bottle and snatched it from his pocket. The tar-like fluid seared his throat. He sank back on the bed, gasping. Passing seconds were eternities until the agony subsided. Then he was dully aware that the thing that had awakened him had been the ringing of the telephone in the hall. And the phone was still ringing. When he answered it, a girl's voice cried hysterically.
Paul, is that you?
But the words meant nothing. In the mirror above the phone table, his own face glared out at him, and a shriek of terror tore the membranes of his throat as he gripped the wall for support. The face in the glass was like the face that had peered through the window of Graham's home last night. It had gaunt green cheeks, sunken eyes that glared like small snails deep in their shells. Green. Every smallest pore exuded a lurid green pigment that colored even the mop of hair hanging wildly over his forehead. Over the phone, the voice of Lois Graham cried again, shrilly.
Paul! Oh, God, why don't you answer?
Mumbled words came from his green lips, but they were meaningless. Dully, he was aware of the madness in her reply.
Paul, something terrible happened. Please come quickly. Please.
His actions after that were mechanical. He dropped the phone without forking the receiver, stumbled down the corridor, and breathed a throaty grunt of relief that his car was parked out front. Streetlights glowed yellow. Dusk had become darkness, and he knew that he had slept all day. When he reached the Graham home, he kept his thumb on the bell until the door jarred open.
Paul! Oh.
Lois Graham's eyes widened with horror at sight of him. She thrust out both hands, jerked backward.
What's happened to you? Your face!
You called me,
He mumbled.
What's wrong?
She stared, nodded. The wild glare went out of her eyes and was supplanted by dead, dull despair.
It's too late now.
The words were barely audible.
Mother was ill and Father needed help. Now, she's dead.
She's dead?
Yes.
She shuddered violently.
Dad did everything he could, but she had had 2 attacks and the third was too much.
The girl's words ate deep into Lawton's soul. The third was too much. He himself was due for a third attack. Twice that unbearable agony had seized him.
Where is your father now?
He and Vincent have gone downtown.
She spoke mechanically, as though the words meant nothing to her.
They've gone to Lawyer Kinney's house to organize another expedition into the swamp. Dad says the secret of the plague is somewhere in Blackwater.
She put trembling fingers on Lawton's arm.
Paul, something terribly strange happened to Mother just before she died. She was delirious and she raved about some horrible green monster who came to her in the night and ordered her to go to the swamp. The monster told her that unless she went there, she was doomed. Oh, it may have been only the mad ravings of a woman in torment, but...
Sobs shook the girl's slender body, and Lawton did his best to comfort her. He wondered vaguely where he fitted into this new parade of horrors. Upstairs, the woman lay dead, victim of the same unholy virus that flowed in his own veins. He himself was doomed, and perhaps others.
Another case of the plague was reported to Father this afternoon.
Lois said heavily. He swung about.
What?
And 2 other victims have disappeared. Oh God, Paul, if this thing isn't stopped.
Lawton strode savagely to the telephone. Afterwards, he was not sure why he had done it. But his instinct at the moment was to find out what Dr. Graham and Vincent were doing, why they were wasting time with Kinney when time was so vital. He thumbed the pages of the directory, called Kinney's home. A woman, Kinney's housekeeper, answered. In reply to terse questions, she said vaguely,
Why, no. Neither the doctor nor his nephew has been here, I'm certain. Mr. Kinney is in bed.
Lawton's green fingers tightened on the phone.
Tell Kinney to get over here at once, do you hear? I don't care what the hour is. At once. It's vital.
He hung up, turned stiffly, and jerked his head up. The front door had jarred open. Someone was running wildly along the hall. Into the room burst a disheveled, mop-headed scarecrow who skidded to a stop and stood swaying, sobbing for breath. The intruder was Vincent Graham. Wild-eyed, the boy gaped from Lois to Lawton, then caught his breath and blurted words.
Uncle Jonathan's gone! Gone! I can't find him!
He took a step forward, stared in utter terror at the lurid green of Lawton's face. Sobs racked him.
What happened?
Lawton snapped.
Out with it.
I don't know. Uncle and I were driving along South Street to Kinney's house. It's a lonely end of town, and the street was dark, deserted. Then a thing with a green face stepped out from behind a billboard and began laughing. Uncle stopped the car and chased after the man and didn't come back.
You looked for him.
Yes! Oh my God, I looked everywhere.
Lawton's face darkened with suspicion. He jerked forward, would have clamped hard fingers on the boy's arm, but realized that the touch of his hand might carry death. This was the end. Jonathan Graham's fears had materialized. Wild-eyed, Lawton stared around him.
Outside, the darkness was thick as pitch, and in the upper reaches of the house, a rising wind moaned with a voice that sent shudders of apprehension through his emaciated frame. There would be a storm tonight. Blackwater Swamp would be an inferno. He swung about, snarled his decision.
Lois, you stay here. Call up some of the neighbors and have them come over to stay with you. You, Vincent, come with me. We're going to find Jonathan Graham, or else.
He strode to the door. The girl flung herself in front of him.
Paul! Where are you going?
To Blackwater. And your cousin's coming with me.
Oh, God, no! No!
He stood wide-legged, his eyes glittering with green determination.
Your father's in Blackwater Swamp, and I'm going to find him. And I'm taking your cousin because...
He choked the words back. If he told her why he could not leave Vincent alone with her, she would think him mad.
Then I'm coming too.
Don't be insane.
I tell you I'm going if you do.
Her own dark eyes blazed out at him.
You can't stop me.
You're staying here.
He jerked past her, shoved Vincent ahead of him down the hall. The girl stood staring. Outside, Lawton climbed into the car, hooked his green hands on the wheel, and raced the machine into darkness. Rain splattered the windshield. Vincent Graham, sitting rigid, had a face gray as paste, but said nothing. In Lawton's fevered brain, a plan was forming. In scattered homes throughout Rillwood, Jonathan Graham's vigilantes were waiting, alert for any emergency. They could be rounded up in less than half an hour. And then...
That concludes Part 4 of the Steeger Classic Pulp Podcast's presentation of Hands Beyond the Grave, brought to you by SteegerBooks.com. Tune in next time for Part 5 of this 6-part series. This AI repertory theater production was produced and directed by Keith Bryan Shaw. Please take a moment to let us know in the comments if you enjoy this type of story. Until next time, this is Tracy Dixon signing off. Thanks for listening.